Hey guys, and welcome to Cool Vision. In this video we will visit Texas, the second largest state in the US after Alaska and the second most populous state after California with a population of 29 million. It's fair to say that many people from around the world have a very outdated image of Texas, but today it's nothing like the old days of the Wild West. It's very modern and it offers a lot of opportunities.
Never had to study math, science or history. I'd have a chemical flashback to jog my memory.
500,000 people is moving to Texas every year. It's a state where they love freedom, guns, and where everything is big. This is not my size, guys. We drove more than 2,000 miles across Texas and visited all the major cities. But first, let's talk about its history. This area was inhabited by different Indian tribes when the first Spanish conquistadors came in 1519. When Mexico won its independence from Spain in 1821, Texas became part of Mexico. Locals were not too happy about it because they saw themselves as Texians, not as Mexicans. And when Santa Anna, the president of Mexico at the time, started his unpopular policies like banning immigration from the United States, restrictions on slavery, and increased military presence, public sentiment turned towards revolution, and between 1835 and 1836, the Texian forces fought and won the Texas Revolution, declaring the Republic of Texas as an independent nation. In 1845, Texas joined the United States, which brought Mexican-American War. A bad move for Mexico because, as the result, it lost half of its territory. In early Texas statehood, things such as cotton, ranching, and farming dominated the economy. After 1870, railroads became a major factor in the development of new cities. The discovery of oil at Spindletop in 1901 initiated the Texas oil boom, which became the driving force behind the economy for much of the 20th century. The population continued to grow rapidly, and in 1994, Texas became the second largest state in the US. Today, the state leads in many industries, including agriculture, petrochemicals, energy, aerospace, just to name a few. More than 50 Fortune 500 companies are based in Texas, second only to New York and California. Texas has a gross state product of $1.9 trillion, which is greater than the GDPs of some countries like Brazil, Canada, Russia, South Korea, and Spain. If Texas were a sovereign state, it would be the 9th largest economy in the world. The state produces the most wind power in the nation. 10.6% of the electricity consumed in the state comes from wind turbines.
Texas has more windmills than any other state in the United States, even more than California.
A lot of people have been moving to Texas for some time now. Most of them come from California, like Elon Musk, who's moving Tesla headquarters to Texas. Toyota, Apple, Oracle, HP, and many others have done the same. Now let's take a closer look at the Texan cities. Let's start with the largest one, Houston. Welcome to Houston. It's the largest city in Texas and the 4th largest city in the US. The population of the city is 2.4 million and the metro area population is almost 6 million. And it keeps growing. It's the hub for the US oil, gas, and energy industry. Beyond that, it's the center of tech sector, healthcare, steel, banking, and even space industry. At NASA Johnson Space Center, they train astronauts, launch space flights, and all the R&D work is carried out. Port of Houston is the 5th largest in the country. Living in Houston, you will have to have a car. It's a car-dependent city known for its sprawl. The city is a mess when it comes to city planning. Endless concrete superhighways and frantic traffic. Houston is the only major US city without zoning laws. They started light rail service in 2004, and now it connects downtown, midtown, and some other districts with a total length of 22.7 miles, which I think is a step in the right direction, but is definitely not enough. Houston has some nice areas like the Museum District, which is home to 19 museums, all within walking distance. Herman Park, which is a great place for walking and playing sports, and the Houston Zoo, where you can feed giraffes. It's actually one of the best zoos that I ever visited. There are fountains and waterfalls in the park, which helps to cool down a little. There's also a theater district, the 2nd largest in the US, home to the Houston Grand Opera and Houston Ballet. There are some other nice areas like Uptown, also known as the Galleria. It's a popular area with a huge shopping mall, and Waterworld Park with a multi-story sculptural fountain. Buffalo Bayou Park in downtown is a great place for jogging and even kayaking. And Midtown, which is known for its young crowds, bars, and nightlife scene. But overall, somehow the city doesn't feel cozy. It's the middle of the day and there's nobody on the streets. How's that? Today's Monday. It's supposed to be busy. Now you don't see any people in the streets. What's going on?
it gets really hot in Houston, and so a lot of people will take the tunnels. There's a lot of the majority of these buildings are connected by a tunnel system, and the tunnel system is very complicated. But there's restaurants down there, barber shops, gift stores. You can buy little gift cards, convenience stores, and you can walk for miles, and you can avoid the bad weather, the heat, the Houston heat by using the tunnels.
Houston has a very hot and humid climate. Let's ask the locals how they escape the heat.
Drink plenty of water.
And jump in the pool.
Jump in the pool. Stick to the shade. Plenty of watermelon. Go where it's air conditioning. And some days only go out at night.
Okay. Houston is no stranger to hurricanes and floods, and we got caught up in one of these. The city was named in honor of Sam Houston, who was the first president of Texas and who was leading the Texas Army in the Battle of San Jacinto. You can visit the San Jacinto Monument that commemorates this decisive battle of the Texas Revolution. It's the tallest monument column in the world, another example of everything being big in Texas. Just an hour away from Houston is an island city of Galveston, located on the Gulf Coast and connected to the mainland by several bridges. It's a popular place for surfers, swimmers, and party people, and has some of the best attractions in the state, including Moody Gardens, giant pyramids with a zoo, an aquarium, a water park, and 4D theaters. There's also Schlitterbahn Water Park and the Kemah Boardwalk. The city was nearly wiped out by the deadly Galveston hurricane of 1900. But it was rebuilt, and today it has a lot of beautiful restored Victorian homes.
And right now I'm standing on the promenade. It's called Seawall Boulevard. Now originally this promenade, which is now more than 10 miles long, was built to protect the city from hurricanes because there was a really bad hurricane in the year 1900, which pretty much destroyed all the city, and almost 12,000 people died. So they built this wonderful promenade, and right now it's a resort town, and people from Houston and other cities as far as San Antonio come here to have a good time. Where you guys from?
San Antonio, Texas.
Oh, cool. What's your favorite thing to do here?
Just drive around and, that's it.
Galveston Island Historic Pleasure Pier is lined with amusement rides and restaurants. The beaches here are clean and well maintained, but the water is murky, so don't expect it to be like Florida, because it's not. The city has a special, laid-back vibe, with art galleries, street musicians,
I would walk 1,000 miles to fall down at your door.
Many cruise ships are cruising out of Galveston too. Very convenient, and let's travel further down south along the coast of the Gulf of Mexico until we end up in Corpus Christi. The city's name means the body of Christ in Latin. It has a population of 326,000 people. Whataburger was founded here in 1950 and is spread across Texas like wildfire.
This is where this family-owned chain started in 1950. Now what makes this burger special is they give you a big fast food burger which you have to hold in two hands. Other chains can give you like small burgers, but this one's like fast food and big. And we loved it.
Due to high wind speeds, it's one of the best cities in the US for kiteboarding, windsurfing, kite flying, and sailing. The main attractions are Texas State Aquarium and the USS Lexington Museum on the Bay, nicknamed the Blue Ghost, which is an Essex-class aircraft carrier built during the Second World War for the US Navy. Naval Air Station Corpus Christi is the single largest employer in the city. Mustang Island and Padre Island are 30 minutes away from the city. These are popular spring break destinations for their endless beaches and various parks. Now let's relocate to San Antonio. San Antonio is the second most populous city in Texas with 1.4 million residents. The city contains 5 18th century Spanish frontier missions. Downtown is very nice. You can stroll down the famous River Walk to browse galleries and art openings while enjoying some live music drifting over the water. You can also take a boat trip, which is another way to experience this historic area. It's a beautiful and serene walkway linked to some of the finest hotels and restaurants downtown San Antonio has to offer. Also, you can tap into the calm and energy at the Japanese Tea Garden, a marvelous place. But for many Americans, the main reason to visit San Antonio is the Alamo, one of the most recognized symbols of Texas. The Alamo, an 18th century Spanish mission that's been preserved as a museum, marks an infamous 1836 battle for Texan independence from Mexico. 188 Texan volunteers heroically fought against the Mexican army, many times superior, for 13 days. All the defenders were killed, unfortunately, but their heroism raised the morale of other Texas militias, who 6 weeks later defeated the Mexicans at the Battle of San Jacinto. San Antonio is the largest majority Hispanic city in the United States, with 64% of its population being Hispanic. Besides the historical part, the city's got some cool new neighborhoods like the Pearl District. It's got shops, a farmer's market, the Culinary Institute of America, a nice outdoor park area, and so much more.
What's your name, man?
My name's Seth, and I live in San Antonio, Texas, and we're down here at the Pearl, and he was asking me what's special about it. I don't really know. It's just really nice, and it's kind of got a good ambiance, and there's a lot of girls everywhere, so I like riding my bike down here. Yeah, what else?
Even though it's the second largest city in Texas, it still has a small town feel. Just 60 miles to the north from San Antonio is the capital of Texas and the fourth largest city, Austin. Austin is the most liberal city in Texas, with a Californian spirit, from Hollywood-style houses on the hills to numerous homeless tents in downtown, right in front of the city council building. The slogan is "Keep Austin Weird." It's one of the youngest cities in the US with an average age of residence at 31 years, thanks to the University of Texas campus, which has 52,000 students.
This is the University of Texas, the largest university in Texas, and the unofficial slogan is "Hook 'em horns."
Many young professionals are moving here, following the steps of Elon Musk, who's building a new Tesla mega plant here. Tech companies like Apple, IBM, Dell, AMD, and Activision are coming here in large numbers. That's why Austin is called the Silicon Hills, similar to Silicon Valley in California. It's a good alternative to the West Coast. If you want to get a technology job, enjoy an urban lifestyle, but avoid skyrocketing expenses of the Bay Area. Austin is home to the largest known bat colony in North America. Stop by the Congress Avenue Bridge at dusk and enjoy the performance. Some say Austin has better scenery, a better downtown, and better nightlife than any other Texas city. It's been called the live music capital of the world. The city's music revolves around the nightclubs on the 6th Street. Expect a rowdy crowd looking to party, tons of drink specials, and a huge selection of music venues. There was a motorcycle rally at the time of our visit. Too bad the night ended in a mass shooting, which ended in one person's death and the injury of 13 others, despite a heavy police presence. Crazy to think that I could have been one of the victims. It gets hot in summer here, and luckily Austin has many parks and lakes like Lady Bird Lake, where you can go swimming and boating to get away from the scorching sun. I've never seen so many paddle boats anywhere else. You can also cool off at one of the open-air swimming pools like Barton Springs. This underground spring stays at 68 degrees all year round. Oh, so refreshing. Austin is part of Texas Hill Country, a geographic region of Central and South Texas. Texas Hill Country is beautiful. Rolling hills, colorful wildflowers, winding country roads. If the outdoors is your thing, then you're going to enjoy it. From wine tasting to cycling to horseback riding. There are over 100 wineries and vineyards. And the town of Fredericksburg, with a population of just 11,000 people, is the epicenter of Texas wine country. It's just 40 minutes away from Austin, and it's known for its German heritage. The architecture is Bavarian, and the population is predominantly German.
Sometime you're bound to leave her. For now you're gonna stay. The year of the cat. The year of the cat.
This area is also known as the Peach Capital of Texas. Before coming here, I always thought Texas was mostly desert, but not really. Actually, less than 10% of its area is desert. Landscape is very diverse. This huge area in southwest Texas is known as Big Bend National Park. It's 800,000 acres, and it has 150 miles of hiking trails through mountainous desert terrain. What about West Texas? It's mostly arid and semi-arid lands. Here it's dry, so the heat doesn't feel too bad. El Paso, Lubbock, and Amarillo are the largest cities. Pump jacks are a common sight in West Texas oil fields. Major industries include petroleum and natural gas production, livestock, cotton, and grain. West Texas is known for its numerous wind turbines, producing clean electricity. This area of Texas has the largest number of ranches. Lubbock is a city in northwest Texas with a population of 258,000 people. It's known as the birthplace of rock and roll legend Buddy Holly. It has a diverse economy, low rent for commercial space, and Texas Tech University. It's known for its music culture and has the largest cotton-grown region in the world. It was a complete surprise when my friend John, who's a musician and a music professor at the local college, met us on a Russian motorcycle with a sidecar. This is a real exotic here. He bought it for $12,000, and the next morning we went for breakfast in the Russian motorcycle, in a land of muscle cars and pickup trucks. The streets look empty. Where's all the people? Small town Americans are not big fans of walking. They drive. And the truth is, all the people were in the restaurants. It's Tuesday, and this restaurant is completely packed, and we decided to try some Texas steak.
We're playing Back in the USSR, especially for us.
In Lubbock, in the historic Depot District, you will find West Texas Walk of Fame with a statue of rock and roll legend Buddy Holly.
John knows a lot of these guys, so apparently Lubbock, Texas has produced a lot of very talented musicians.
Yeah, that's
Just
true.
to give you an example, Bobby Keys, he played saxophone with the Rolling Stones.
Yeah. Texas has its own canyon, the second largest in the United States, Palo Duro Canyon. Beautiful views, lots of wild critters, and over a dozen trails to hike. Amarillo is another city in West Texas with a population of 197,000 people. It's known for its delicious steak challenge at the Big Texan Steak Ranch, theaters and art shows, and the 47-foot-tall slouching cowboy, Tex Randall. And the world-famous Cadillac Ranch, 10 Cadillacs buried nose first in the ground. You can buy spray paint from a little trailer on site and add your touch to the display. What a spot! And finally, El Paso. It's a city in the far western part of the state with a population of 678,000 people. It's located on the US-Mexican border. El Paso and the state of Mexico are separated by Rio Grande River. The city has a diversified economy and is the second busiest international crossing point in the US behind San Diego. El Paso has a strong federal and military presence, and 81% of its population is Hispanic. Now let's go further. Dallas. Dallas is the third largest city in Texas with 1.3 million people. Once one of the largest suppliers of cotton, today it's known as a finance hub. It's home to headquarters of many international corporations like 7-Eleven, AT&T, Texas Instruments, Southwest Airlines, and GameStop. Yes, it's a business city, but there's more to it. The Arts District in downtown has a lot to offer. Clyde Warren Park is a popular place to hang out or attend a festival or get some food from the food trucks. Here you will also find Parrott Museum of Nature and Science, Dallas Museum of Art, the Dallas World Aquarium, Reunion Tower, which is a famous observation deck with a restaurant, and the AT&T Discovery Center, which has interactive installations in a high-tech park with jazz concerts and global restaurants. Perhaps the most significant aspect of Dallas history is the place where John F. Kennedy was shot when his motorcade was passing through Dealey Plaza on November 22, 1963.
The alleged assassin was firing from the 6th floor from that window, okay?
Some say that people in Dallas are a little too materialistic and arrogant. Maybe. What I know for a fact is there are a lot of rich people here. Just drive around neighborhoods in North Dallas like Highland Park and Preston Hollow. This is where you find homes of the former U.S. President George W. Bush, former city mayors, and big-name business executives. Some of the homes here are worth up to $50 million. It's a nice place to retire. In downtown, there are some fancy neighborhoods like Dallas Farmers Market. It's a great neighborhood with modern apartments and a farmers market, of course. The Deep Ellum District. It used to be jazz and blues hotspot in the 1920s, but today it's a trendy arts area with hundreds of bars and concert venues. Some areas in downtown have a lot of homeless people though, and just like Houston, it's empty. Dallas also has a system of underground tunnels. They have historic streetcars running for free in downtown. Dallas is also home to the most extensive light rail system in the country called DART that spans 85 miles across 61 stations. Nonetheless, the car is still your primary mode of local transportation. Make sure you visit White Rock Lake and Dallas Arboretum and Botanical Garden. Grab lunch to go from one of the many restaurants and have a picnic on the lawn enjoying some live music. Fort Worth is the 5th largest city in Texas with a population of 927,000 people, and it's just 30 minutes away from Dallas. Together with Dallas, they form Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, the 4th largest metropolitan area in the country, 7.5 million people. This is even larger than Houston metro area. Its historic downtown with its heart at Sundance Square is a pedestrian-friendly cluster of blocks, a perfect place to grab a lunch, shop, and have a cup of coffee. Fort Worth has historically been a center of Texas Longhorn cattle trade. Longhorns were once brought from southern Europe because they have a high drought stress tolerance. This historic district, called Fort Worth Stockyards, retains the feel of a western movie set, and it hosts a twice-daily cattle drive. Real cowboy boots, right?
Yeah, these are real thing.
How much are they to buy, approximately?
$400-500 and up to.
This one's are locations, so this one's running around $650.
Wow, they're not cheap.
These about 500.
500. Yeah. Here it feels like you're stepping back in time. Cowboy hats, boots, and rodeos. Cowtown Coliseum hosts rodeos every Friday and Saturday. They have bull riding, saddle bronc riding, cow roping, and more. Let's see what it's all about. There's a good selection of bars, restaurants, and country music venues such as Billy Bob's.
But I was gone, and so beside me, my only son, listen closely.
But there's more to Fort Worth. It's a modern city with a number of contemporary museums and wonderful botanic garden. Now let's compare the 5 largest cities of Texas and see which one comes out on top. When it comes to population, Houston is the most populous city with a population of 2.3 million. What about housing prices? The most expensive real estate is in Austin, with a median home price of $460,000 as of May 2021, followed by Dallas and then Houston, and the most affordable real estate is in Fort Worth and San Antonio. Where do you find the best salaries? If money is your biggest motivation, then according to Numbeo, Dallas is the best city for you, with an annual average salary of $71,400. Austin is not that far behind, then comes Houston, San Antonio, and Fort Worth. What about crime? Houston is the most dangerous city out of these 5, with 1,070 violent crimes per 100,000 people. Dallas is dangerous too, with 862 crimes. Then come San Antonio and Fort Worth, and Austin is the safest. As you can see, crime is still a problem in the major cities, but Texas is tough on crime. It's one of the 32 states that practice capital punishment, and since 1976, 40% of all U.S. executions have taken place in Texas. Texas has strong self-defense laws, allowing citizens to use guns to defend themselves, their families, and their property.
What's the most popular?
Last year, it was handguns. Most famous gun in the world, a Glock 19. Everybody was scared. All these non-gun owners kept watching all the stuff online, and they were getting scared. Yeah, and they started buying guns. They felt like something bad was about to happen, and they were scared. They thought somebody was going to come yank them out of their car or out of their house and beat them for...
You knew you were in the right business, right? Yeah, that.
Beginning September the 1st, 2021, Texans can openly carry guns in public. And also in September, Texas was the first state to make prostitution a felony. And 5 women working in massage parlors in Lubbock have already been arrested. When it comes to food, Texas is known for its barbecue and Tex-Mex. Tex-Mex is a combination of traditional Mexican and Texas cuisines, featuring burritos, enchiladas, and tostadas, served alongside rice and beans. The biggest difference between real Mexican food and Tex-Mex is that Tex-Mex is cheesy, greasy, and served in bigger portions. No wonder it's been such a hit in America. Texas food is all about the meat. At barbecue restaurants, you'll find brisket, sausage, and ribs to be the most popular choices.
So I have this impression that when you talk about ribs, it's just pork ribs. Now I've learned that there's beef ribs, and they're huge because, you know, cow is bigger than a pig. And so this is pork ribs, this is beef ribs, and now we're gonna try them.
What are the Texans like? They're very independently minded. They're very proud of their state. For example, my friend's pool is made in the shape of the state. And if anyone from Texas hears Deep in the Heart of Texas song, they'll start singing along. It's almost their national anthem.
The stars at night are big and bright. Deep in the heart of Texas, the prairie sky is wide and high. Deep in the heart of Texas.
Living in Texas, you'll have to get used to Western attire. Cowboy hats and boots certainly aren't required around Texas, but you're going to see them on a daily basis. It's part of the lifestyle.
So you don't look like a Texan cowboy.
These are my work clothes. I do have a cowboy hat though.
Oh, you
I
do?
do have the boots and jeans.
What is it that you like to do for fun?
So, shoot guns, of course.
Is everybody armed around here?
Oh yeah, definitely. There's I really don't know anybody who doesn't have a gun, at least.
Right.
You know, everyone's got a gun. It's just,
how many do you have? Just an estimate.
Probably about 20 or so.
20 guns.
Most Texans are conservative, except for some large cities like Austin and Dallas that started shifting politically to the left, to which the conservative part of Texas says, "Don't California my Texas. Don't turn my Texas into another California." Sadly, the American society is now more divided than ever. Many Republicans in Austin, for example, are becoming increasingly hesitant of talking about their political affiliation and views. Some people don't feel safe putting a Trump sign in their front yard, so they would put an alternative conservative sign in support of the police, Army veterans, and other conservative patriotic messages. Texas is nicknamed the Lone Star State for its former status as an independent republic, and as a reminder of the state's struggle for independence from Mexico. They say everything is bigger in Texas. Texas area is 10% larger than France and almost twice as large as Germany or Japan. People are bigger too. The obesity rate sadly is at 35%. The state is #1 in beef cattle production in the US and is home to 248,000 farms and ranches. Speaking of big, you gotta visit Buc-ee's. It's a chain of gas stations and convenience stores. This place is humongous and it's extremely clean. Their new Brando's location near San Antonio is currently the world's largest gas station. Try the brisket sandwich, pork sandwich, and the apple pies for sure. Texas has the largest state highway system and the highest speed limits in the country, 80 and even 85 miles per hour. You probably heard this one, "Don't mess with Texas." Originally it was a slogan for a campaign aimed at reducing littering on the highways, but eventually became an identity statement and Texan pride. Texas is one of the hottest states. Some areas reach average temperatures of 100 degrees during the summer months. How did they live here before air conditioning was invented? Good question. The upside is that you'll enjoy mild winters in Texas. The Texas success story began with Texas oil boom, but now they managed to create another boom by creating favorable conditions that make companies and people want to move here in large numbers. Why is everybody moving to Texas? Many reasons. Job opportunities, cheaper homes, lower cost of living, lots of land, warm weather that allows outdoor activities year-round, and good infrastructure. I hope you guys enjoyed this video about Texas. Let me know what's your favorite city in Texas. I'll see you in my next video. Thank you.
Touching one, reaching out, touching me.